Yo, yo, yo. Waiting to go to work again. Yesterday was pretty cool. It was, my first day at work went pretty well. Uh, yeah, I think going from jail security to store security, made it to where I had a lot of advantages that a lot of people don't. So I feel like yesterday my trainer was pretty impressed. Today I'm going to make sure that I'm still doing a good job. I'm trying to decrease the amount of caffeine that I'm drinking. I hate it. It's awful. I want an IV of pure just powdered caffeine with like slushy water. But for the next week, I'm gonna try to do one energy drink per day, which I know should be what most people do, or less than that. And the 2 a day was probably pretty excessive. But you know, I've been excessively drinking caffeine for too long. I'm trying to make sure I'm hydrated. I'm trying to make sure that my body forces me to sleep more, because I think also I rely on it to the point to where, because I know that I can just function at any point in time as long as I have the caffeine in my system to be able to do it. And I think that isn't how I want to have to keep approaching life. You know, if I want to wake up at 4:50 in the morning to go to the gym, I have to start going to bed earlier. I can't just go to sleep at 10, 11, and then wake up and then go, time to down the fucking juice, the go-go juice. I imagine at 40 years old, if I don't have any health problems, I will have some severe health problems shortly after that, if I can continue down that path. I'm surprised I don't really have that many health issues now. I'm still under 30, so that's probably why. But yeah, my second shift today is 10 to 6. I'm doing a lot of thinking about the book that I want to write. Trying to keep up with politics. Politics is really depressing still. Don't really want to talk about that. I want to talk about my book ideas, because, you know, book ideas make me happy. And if something makes you happy, you should talk about it, because I think people avoid the things that make them happy too much in life. So I'm going through my book ideas, right? I have the outline for the book on persuasion or influence, however you want to phrase it. I had that typed out. I had ChatGPT help me with that, because I repeat myself a lot and I like to have feedback, and people don't really care about writing, and I don't want to pay somebody to care. And so, like, what I'll do is I took the outline that I typed and I basically said, hey, what do you think of this outline? And it basically made some suggestions and said, you know, like, hey, these are some other subjects you could also talk about. Hey, you could change the order so that the flow of information is a little bit more consistent. And that's one thing that I really wanted to work on. And I think the outline portion really controls how I'm going to write it. And so I had the suggestions from ChatGPT. I made the adjustments, and then I read through it a couple of times a few days ago, and then made a couple of my last minute tweaks, made a couple of additions, took away a couple of things, moved it around. I'm probably going to do that again tomorrow. But I haven't looked at it in 2 days. Part of the process is, you know, if you're not sure what to think about it, put it up. And because I had a lot of information I was typing down, and it seemed like it was going pretty good. So I said, you know, hey, I'll for right now, this is going to be the project, unless if I think of something that I really want to work on more. So I have that outline. I have the ideas for it. Put it away. Don't think about it. Come back on my day off, which is tomorrow. Tomorrow's also my mother's birthday. But she's gonna be busy until dinner that afternoon, and then come back to it. I'm going to come back to it, and then if I still feel the same way, if I'm like, I don't really care about this anymore, that's how I know that it's not meant to be, or it's not meant to be right now, until I find something that makes me care about writing it. And then, of course, I'm trying to always have different ideas. One of them is pretty... I don't know enough about philosophical literature to be able to know if this has really been done before, but the idea kind of came up when I was thinking about or I was watching something, and it was like almost like when you have a cartoon and like you're talking, and then you have the angel and you have the devil, and like they're both talking to you, and they're both giving you like, hey, like the devil's like telling you the bad part, the angel's telling you the good part. And I'm like, well, I'd be like, that's an interesting idea. And then I thought about it more, and I was like, you know, there are others examples of this, and I remembered from Big Bang Theory, one scene that I saw on a TikTok or a YouTube short was when Sheldon went to his mind palace and he talked to different versions of himself, all of them given their own unique perspectives on whatever they were dealing with. I don't remember exactly what that was. And, you know, it was, you know, like nerdy Sheldon or science Sheldon or blah, blah, blah Sheldon or OCD Sheldon. And I thought about it, and I said, you know, how... the more I learn about philosophy, and the more I learn about the world around me, and the more that I watch stories, and the more media that I consume, the better I am. Recently, it's been hard with politics, but usually the better I am at envisioning another person's perspective, which makes it very easy for me to talk to them. Which then took me back to the persuasion book, and I said, you know, like, that's the thing that I should really talk about, is like being able to understand a person's perspective, to be able to know how to communicate your ideas to them in an effective way that makes them listen, which is the original way and the original book idea that I wanted, which I'm still kind of excited about. And I thought about the philosophy one because, you know, the idea I came up with is more complicated, so my brain like gets a little bit more excited, where it was philosophical statements, and different versions of my thoughts, because you're not always the same person commenting on that subject. And I thought about it in different ways. I thought about having like 3 basic perspectives, and each of them writing out like their own book, and having it be one big book of 3 little books, which the books wouldn't even be that long. It'd probably be like 60 to 80 pages per book, probably a total of like 200 plus pages, or maybe 180 pages or more, something like that. And like it would basically be like, you know, maybe like it's optimist, pessimist, and like somewhere in between, or like you know, like the rule of 3 made it is very hard to get out of. I thought about trying to impart more versions of that, but that's getting a little bit complicated. And you know, I wanted to like have it to where each one was making different statements. And then I thought about it, well, what if I was the mediator and like they were debating each other? And I thought that would be kind of interesting, and like it would essentially be like the statement posited, and like each version of that of my brain would have a few pages to document what their thoughts were, and they would be able to respond to any version that spoke before. And then there would be a second round of each claim, where each version of my brain would be able to like make the statements and address the criticisms that it has. And some may double down, some may like backtrack and say like, I can understand that. Some might just completely ignore it and just read it the same thing. And then I was like, well, that's getting a little bit too much. That's a little bit too complicated. I don't know how many perspectives I'd be able to do and how many subjects I'd be able to touch on, but it's complicated. And that's what intrigues me. And I think the idea of writing a little bit higher than what my brain actually understands is what excites me the most. But I think I do best when I'm writing about things that I know because that's where I'm the most informative. That's where I can be the most direct. That's where I can be. I can make the better conclusions and the better arguments for what I'm saying. So I'm trying to resist it, but it's very tempting. But that also is an idea that needs to be workshopped. You know, I would have to really think about it in a way that would seem a little bit attractive. I might talk with a couple of people. I don't know too many people that would even be interested in that, yet alone would have any ideas to comment on with it. But maybe I just haven't tried, because it's one of those things that's just weird. You know, maybe it's just having the courage to be able to like express that idea enough to where people are willing to give you that feedback. But also, it's still a vague idea, so it's hard to explain it. But I don't know. A little bit of positivity. Trying to find the bright side in things. Trying to look past what's happening in the media. And, you know, I don't always have to comment on politics, but it is nice to comment on politics, and I think more people should be doing it. I think more people are doing it. However, it's going to be a good day. And if it's not, then it's going to be a limited day.